you just help me with this? Is it just push the on, is it? Sorry, what am I doing here?
Just get rid of that.
Right.
And
Okay.
yours is, where has that gone?
Down there, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
sorry about that. I was
Okay,
just
that's okay.
momentarily
And then just the slideshow.
distracted.
Right, thank you. Okay, thank you, Peter. Diolch yn fawr. Prynhawn da. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm the guy who's not going to try and muck it up. My name is Emyr Roberts. I'm Chief Executive of Natural Resources Wales. And can I just say a belated welcome to you from Natural Resources Wales. We're delighted to be co-sponsoring this conference with the EEAC this afternoon. It's a great honour for us so early in our existence to be staging this conference. So a very, very warm welcome to you. Some of you may know that I'm a local boy. I was born here in Bangor. And I was brought up about 8 miles away on Anglesey in a place called Benllech. So I have a particular affinity with this place, this university, and the projects which I'm going to describe shortly. I've got nothing to do with the pizza shop. Okay. I'd like to just talk very, very briefly about who we are, our purpose, our roles, how we're approaching the ecosystem approach, but most of my talk is going to be about the case studies which we're developing here in Wales, which I think gives us a very valuable platform on which to build ecosystems thinking, services, natural resource management. At the end of the day, Natural Resources Wales is a delivery organisation, so it's our responsibility to transpose the knowledge, the learning, some of which we've heard today, into practical action. That's going to be the focus of our organisation going forward. So just in terms of who we are, in terms of functions, Natural Resources Wales derives from the 3 legacy bodies, the Environment Agency Wales, the Countryside Council for Wales and the Forestry Commission Wales, and some of the Welsh Government functions. We've inherited those functions into the new body, into a single body. We have over 2,000 staff. We have a remit over the whole of Wales, including the marine up to 12 nautical miles. And in our view, we are a unique organisation in the world which has this mix of activities in terms of managing, protecting, and using our natural resources. And we've got an opportunity here to radically change the approach to natural resource management by taking an ecosystem approach. That's our purpose, to ensure that the natural resources of Wales are sustainably maintained, used and enhanced both now and in the future. We have long-term shared outcomes with the Welsh Government, and the reason for putting those up really is that those are about the environment, but they are about how we connect to the other important social and economic agendas that we've got in front of us in Wales. We believe that we have an important part to play in all of those, a valuable contribution to play with that. So it brings us into contact with the social and economic agenda through our environmental responsibilities. We have got a great number of roles. We are an advisor to the government. So although we are a sponsored body, we are at arm's length. We advise on policy, we don't make it. We are, as I said before, principally a delivery body. We're a statutory consultee on planning. We respond to about 9,000 planning applications each year. We're a designating authority for SSIs, ONBs. We protect these important sites that make up 30% of Wales's land and waters. We're an environmental regulator, so we regulate sectors like forestry, nuclear power stations, industrial premises, water companies, and agriculture, making sure that they meet high standards to protect local communities and the environment. We license activities that include water abstraction, flood defences, and dredging. We manage 7% of the land area of Wales. We operate visitor centres, a laboratory, fish hatcheries. We're the biggest provider of outdoor recreation in Wales. We're a 24-hour emergency responder. We deal with about 9,000 reported incidents a year, including flooded homes, polluted rivers, illegally dumped waste. And on evidence, we collect data on various environmental parameters and analyse the evidence base. So we've mapped some of the ecosystem services for Wales, such as water regulation. We've monitored a site on Snowdon as part of the UK Environmental Change Network since 1995 as one of our long-term data sets on climate change. And we monitor all 1,600 kilometres of the coastline around Wales as part of our intertidal survey. So let's say we have a wide, unique range of responsibilities. We've heard a lot already about the ecosystem approach, and this is the definition that we use through the Convention of Biological Diversity. So it has a focus on ecosystems for terrestrial, freshwater, and marine. And we firmly believe that human activities are part of ecosystems and can have a strong influence on them. It's about planning a sustainable future for ourselves. That includes our environment, economy, and our communities. Again, I think many of you will be very familiar with these categories of ecosystems services. So in terms of supporting services essential to the functioning of ecosystems, soil formation, biodiversity, geodiversity. Without these, the other services would not be provided. Provisioning services such as timber and food, regulating services, climate regulation, cleaning our water, cultural services, recreation and tourism, educational opportunities. So it's important that we can serve and manage the ecosystem so as to provide us with these services and the benefits that we secure from them. And that's a sort of a pictorial explanation, summary of these different kinds of services. Again, probably very familiar to you. It comes from the England Natural Resource White Paper, which was mentioned earlier on. So that's the context of our work. That's what we're trying to do. Those are the concepts that we're working. But I really want to take as much time as I can, and Peter, stop me if I overrun, on just giving you a flavour, I think, of some of the work that we're doing, which, as I say, provides, I think, a great evidence base for the future. So we're capturing these case studies of best practice. We're identifying areas of better integration, developing an area-based natural resources management. So I'll go straight into some of these case studies. The first one is particularly close to my heart. I was brought up close to one of the fens, which I think if you're going on the visits tomorrow, you will see at Cors Erdreiniog. It's about 3 miles from where I was brought up. I didn't know it existed until I started this job, and I think there's a story in there in terms of actually connecting people with their local environment. But this is one of our large-scale projects, which is life-funded, and it's called the Llyn and Angsin Llyn Fens Project. It's around peatlands, which are, as you know, very sensitive ecosystems. And this project uses novel and enterprising restoration techniques to create biodiversity and wider ecosystem service benefits. This project, as you'll see tomorrow, has involved large-scale hydrological restoration, combining water level and quality management with flood alleviation. And very importantly, it's demonstrating how we can work with business and local people to develop these benefits. The main practical challenges on these fen sites are the issues with hydrology, nutrient enrichment, and neglecting management on the sites. These systems are critical for service provision, such as water regulation, slowing down flood waters. One of the sites is a place called Mathanichev near Pwllheli. Pwllheli has problems with flooding. So what the restoration work there is helping to capture the water, slow down the rate of flow into Pwllheli. It halts the breakdown of peat and carbon, and it is an important education and recreation resource. But there are also important socioeconomic challenges to consider rather than just environmental ones. There is a need to build relationships with local people and businesses in order to maintain the site after the restoration work has been completed. So we think some of the key solutions, which we've experienced in in this project is bringing the sites and the local, and particularly the farming communities, back together, demonstrating that conservation sites can be a valuable component of modern farming systems, for instance by reintroducing grazing to some of these areas, rebuilding relationships with local people because we're working to similar goals. That includes improving our understanding of the needs of the community, for instance through access improvements, and education. Now, we've used these projects with local schools visits, education packs, as well as PhD and MSc students. Second case study, again life funded, and again similar, but at a greater scale and concerned with blanket bog projects. And this is a collaboration between the three legacy bodies, the RSPB and Welsh Water. This project ran from 2006 to 2011 with the aim of restoring active blanket bog in two special areas of conservation in Wales, the Berwyn and the Mignaint SACs. These sites are two of the most important SACs for blanket bog in the United Kingdom. A large area of the blanket bog within these SACs was re-wetted, which included extensive drain blocking and the eradication of invasive species. Over the course of the project, contractors blocked almost 500 kilometres of artificial drains and over 5,000 hectares of blanket bog. This included over 180 kilometres blocked on 13 private farms. We could not have done this project without the cooperation of the local landowners. Forestry was removed from almost 600 hectares of a forested blanket bog, and 5,400 hectares of self-seeding non-native trees were removed. In addition, over 5,000 hectares of blanket bog across 8,000 hectares of Welsh uplands has been re-wetted as a result of this project. Alongside the practical work, more than 4,000 people from the local area became involved in the project through walks, talks, and education activities. So not only is this an important project for restoring degraded habitats on designated sites, but also it's important for reducing downstream flooding and water pollution, and then therefore has wider benefits. These are just photos of the restoration work that was carried on these important SACs. So the photo on the left shows the area before the restoration work, and on the right after restoration. This is in the Penaran area. As you see, extensive clearing, re-wetting of the area, and the trees in the background you see there will be harvested over time as commercial timber, using a floating road built over the bog as part of the LIFE project. This area will then return to bog and heath habitat. The trees in the foreground of the photo were retained as part of the feathered woodland edge to help provide black grouse habitat, and are destined for a phased removal and return to heath habitat. A slightly different type of project, which your chairman, Peter, chairs this initiative, the Cumbrian Mountains Initiative, very much with more of a rural development focus. Again, this is a large-scale project. The Cumbrian Mountains Initiative is a working collaboration between communities, projects, and all levels of public, private, and voluntary sector to achieve a sustainable future for the Cumbrian Mountains. It's a very important area. It contains about 9% of Wales's farmland. It provides an essential water supply in Wales with major reservoirs for public water supply. It stores water in the upland soils, which can help moderate the more extreme flooding events likely to be associated with climate change. It's a significant area of Wales that supplies a large proportion of our natural resources, and it's the largest peatland area storing carbon. And some of the objectives are to support the development of sustainable rural communities within the area, to sustain the environment of the area as defined by the landscape character assessment of Wales, to work with communities, producers and tourism providers within the surrounding areas of influence, to gain an understanding of public perceptions of ecosystem services provided by the Cumbrian Mountains, and to ensure the future sustainability of Welsh family farms. So we've been working to identify opportunities for ecosystem services delivery, and some recent work valued the natural wealth of the Cumbrian mountains at £8.3 million annually. The key lessons that we're learning is firstly that there is a significant interest from the public and farmers for improving the market incentives to pay for ecosystem services that are delivered. People feel more able to contribute to the debate if they are involved in the delivery of the service or are affected by service failure, like flooding or restrictions on water use. We need to engage with the water companies. They are major players in the development of ecosystems. Encouraging and working with farmers is also critical to developing workable incentives. And the ecosystem service with the greatest potential to lead the proposals for a new incentive is, we believe, water quality, closely allied to flood control and carbon storage and sequestration. So we believe that the work on the Cumbrian mountains has given us an insight into how to take national strategic aims and make them meaningful in the local landscape. Change the scale a little. This is Pontbren. Pontbren is located in the uplands about 10 miles west of Welshpool. This is a farmer-led approach to sustainable land management in the uplands, where a group of neighbouring farmers sought to improve the efficiency of the livestock and woodland management on their farms by working together in the catchment. The project was initiated in 1997, now includes 1,000 hectares of farmland. Innovative ideas have been piloted and subject to significant scientific research to determine the impact on the land, impact of the land management changes. One example is the strategic planting of hedgerows and tree shelter belts, wide hedges. And some of these benefits include that the shelter belts planted along field margins and across the slope of a field can improve the infiltration within the planted area 60 times the rate of infiltration in the grassland next to it. Research has shown that when located in the right place, they can reduce peak flood levels by 40%. Carbon levels in the soil are increased. And as part of the Kyne River Catchment Initiative work, erosion issues have been identified and trees were planted by the local community river group along the fence line to improve the infiltration and to reduce the water runoff during heavy rainfall events. That's really important, obviously, for improving water quality. Marine example. Fishmap Mourne is Anglesey, is a collaborative pilot project between Natural Resources Wales and commercial and recreational fishers in North Wales. The project is focused on the waters around Anglesey and aims to inform the sustainable management of the Welsh marine environment by collecting and mapping information about fishing activity and combining it with information on seabed habitat types and the sensitivity to fishing activities. Learning from the Fishmap Mourne project could be used to aid the application of an ecosystems approach to managing the marine environment. The project has already broken new ground in collecting and mapping commercial and recreational fishing activity data. It provides stakeholders with a unique level of detail about where different fishing activities take place and could inform future activity mapping across Wales as part of processes such as marine spatial planning. It's piloted methods of assessing the impact of fishing activities on seabed habitats, and that can contribute towards indicating areas of the seabed that are either vulnerable or are robust to fishing activity. And the interactive web-based Fishmap Mourne guidance tool will indicate the sensitivity of underlying seabed habitats to mapped fishing activity. It includes a scenario builder which will offer stakeholders the ability to assess the impact of hypothetical fishing activity upon an area of interest. Okay, the ecosystems is not all good news. and one of the major issues that we as an organisation have in front of us at the moment is Phytophthora ramorum, or larch disease, which is affecting significant parts of our woodland and forest estate. Larch makes up some 8% of the woodlands in Wales. Yes, it's a commercial crop, but it's also heavily used for amenity and recreational purposes. And we have a problem. Phytophthora is a genus of aggressive plant pathogens that can be highly damaging to trees in Britain, including larch. It is spread from rhododendrons. It spreads quickly through larch, and there are risks to other species. I don't think we know enough yet about what those risks might be. So, as you can see in the bottom left, once trees become infected, it spreads through a stand, and the height of the trees means that the spores can be carried long distances in the wind. The bottom right shows that the pattern is usually that it starts with individuals and groups of trees and then gradually spreads through the stand. And that's the impact. That's an area of Avonadgoed, which is an important recreational area as well as being an important forestry area where we've obviously had to clear fell. What have we been doing about it? Well, our strategy to date has been largely around containment, and felling is the only method of control. But we have to admit that the scale of infection has exceeded the industry capacity to cope, resulting in the use of felling to stump in many sites. The social and the environmental impact, as you can see, is large scale. So it infects the landscape, water, recreation, our markets, increases fire risk, also cost implications for us. So it's almost a negative ecosystem service, or a disservice. But it does offer an opportunity for the future. So the research that we've undertaken on about the spread of the disease with climate change shows that Wales has the highest proportion of risk areas shown in red on the map there. Given how well adapted Phytophthora ramorum is to larch, it is unrealistic to assume that it would be possible to retain larch in the longer term in most areas of Wales. So we need to be realistic about being able to control the disease in our climate. And instead, we're focusing our efforts on replacing larch with a wider range of species to improve resilience, such as in the Avon Valley there, and that's the start of the replanting programme that we've got in that area. And we've defined a programme of sustainable restructuring to replace the larch and the Welsh Government woodland estate over the next 10 years. Okay, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, okay. We're entering into long-term contracts with timber businesses to harvest and process the larch, adding as much as possible. Okay, I'm starting to run out of time here, so I'll skim very quickly over the rest of the slides I've got here. You've heard already about GIS, the importance of GIS. We're also using that. This is an area in the Rheidol and the Ystwyth catchments, where we're starting to match catchment connectivity, and this is an important area of SAC. How we're using it is superimposing information on our woodlands in the area, and also deriving a model whereby we can identify areas of potential connectivity between woodland areas to improve the connectivity of the whole area and improve the resilience of the sites. On top of that, you put your river catchments, and this is a flood risk map. That's the colour in light blue. Flooding is a problem in this area. The area flooded in 2012. So we're starting to map not just the tree cover, but also, obviously, the impact on the rivers. So through GIS, we have the ability to map the various components of the natural environment and the ecosystem services, how it can be improved to the benefit of the environment, people, communities. Again, I'll skip very quickly through this, but we are turning our forest resource plans, developing those from an ecosystems approach as well. What we're trying to do in the Cumbrian forest This is a multifunctional, multi-purpose forest. So it's a commercial timber forest. It's a mixed woodland. We're trying to connect with the wider ancient woodlands in the valley, trying to connect with the open hill catchment area, important recreation area, walking cycle trails, working through partnership with communities and education. Fortunately, I don't have to talk too much about these because Tony follows me. He's going to talk about this particular project, which is very much a joint work between Natural Resources Wales and Cumbrian. So I'll skip those one. I do want to mention this one, though. This is how we're using our regulatory powers to adopt an ecosystems approach. So this is relation to nutrient management. First Milk is the largest dairy farmer cooperative in the UK. It has a creamery in Haverfordwest, in Pembrokeshire in West Wales, produces cheese, almost 30,000 tonnes of cheese a year. The milk is sourced from some 350 local farms, and the company has been in discussion with Natural Resources Wales in relation to requiring a discharge consent for the wastewater, as the current sewage treatment works will be unavailable from 2014. Without adequate effluent treatment, the creamery would have to close. But the discharge would enter a special area of conservation with significant nutrient issues. So what we're doing with that company, with those farmers, is using an ecosystem approach where any nutrients discharged are offset by pollution control measures at the farms which supply the milk. And this scheme forms part of the permit which we will issue as Natural Resources Wales. We will check it every year to ensure that the nutrient runoff reductions from the farms is equal to or greater than the nutrients discharged directly by the creamery. Okay, so we're using all of the powers that we've got available to us to adopt this approach. So, very quickly, by way of conclusion, as an organisation, we bring together the functions of previous legacy bodies, which means that we can work in a much more integrated way across Wales to ensure that our natural resources are sustainably maintained, used and enhanced now and in the future. We're adopting an ecosystem approach which will help us better integrate the management of land, water and living resources and planning a sustainable future for ourselves. We have a good many of examples carrying out this work already. By being part of one organisation, we hope to deliver more of these area-based integrated work, hopefully at a larger scale. And we're already thinking about what that larger scale might be in terms of possibly river catchment areas. To take this work forward, we really need a partnership approach in Wales and across our borders as well. But we are very confident with the nature of the relationships we've got here in Wales that we can pull that off. And we'll try not to muck it up. Okay, diolch fawr.